Welcome everybody to the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. We're actually outside of Pittsburgh International Raceway in Wampum, Pennsylvania. And it's beautiful here. The racetrack, unfortunately, they told us we could stay for a few nights after our race weekend, and then they decided they didn't have any security guards, so at the last minute they kicked us out. Hence, we left the gates of the track, drove down the road until we found this pull-off, and here we parked for the night. So we actually have stayed here 2 nights now. We stayed last night. It was nice and peaceful. There was only one weird vehicle that stopped outside for a while, and we didn't get abducted or robbed. So I think we're okay here. At any rate, I wanted to show you kind of how our boondocking situation goes, because we do a lot of boondocking, obviously, and we do a lot of travel, so hence the boondocking thing. This guy right here, our Starlink satellite, has been an absolute lifesaver while we're on the road. The kids are inside gaming, Tasha is doing some work and watching her TV programs, and I am getting ready to upload this video, I'm sure, later on. So what we've got right now, we've got the Starlink going, and then we have this fleet of vehicles. Of course, this is our Ford Ranger, which we use to get around and everything, and then this is our work van, newly acquired Sprinter that we use for our business stuff and also some transportation. But as you may know, if you watch our channel, I've had a lot of problems with this. This is our QG5500 Onan Cummins generator. It's a very common unit, and I have done some videos on, well, I did a video on replacing the fuel pump, and I've got a bunch of other content that I could use to make other videos, but I decided I would make one video and show you what I've got going on with this. Now, the common issue with these is that they'll run for, you know, like 10 or 15 minutes and then just stop working, especially if it's hot. And there are a ton of forum posts on this and Facebook posts asking, why does my Onan generator just shut off? I read every single one of them, and I've tried almost everything to remedy this situation because it's gotten worse and worse over time. Now on this generator, we've replaced almost everything outside of the engine itself. We've replaced the stator, the carburetor, the fuel pump multiple times, the fuel filter, all the fuel line, the wiring, everything, literally, except for the engine. So I was getting desperate. We were actually traveling on the way here to Pittsburgh from California, and while we were going through Wyoming, the temperature was over 100 degrees outside. The dash air conditioner went out in the rig, and then the generator stopped running because it was so hot. It would run for like 5 or 10 minutes. And what I found was the fuel pump would not pump any fuel. So the fuel pump was running, but it wasn't pumping any gas. So I want to take a look at what we did here. So as you've seen in one of my other videos, I replaced the fuel pump with a Chinese fuel pump, which works just great. But we also replaced the fuel filter and all that stuff, and nothing seemed to help. So I replaced the fuel line from the very back of the RV all the way to the generator. Here comes Edith. You brought me ramen? Mm-hmm. Does that mean this is ramen that you didn't want to eat? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, baby. Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate that. Did you dump a bunch of soy sauce in it? Just a tiny bit. Okay. Here, hey.
If you don't like it, tell me.
All right. I'll be inside in a bit, and I'll eat it then. Hey. Thank you. I love you so much. You're so thoughtful.
Love you.
All right, so anyway, I have dinner waiting for me, so let's get through this. Okay, what we did was I replaced the fuel filter. I replaced the carburetor because it actually, the float was sticking and it was leaking fuel, and so I replaced that for a separate unit, or a separate issue. But I replaced the control board because at some point the generator was shutting off and then the fuel pump was getting no signal. And the way I tested that was I took a multimeter and I tested these 2 wires here coming into the fuel pump, and I determined that when the control board was hot, I was getting no voltage to the pump. So it wasn't the pump that was overheating, it was actually the control board. So if you're having this issue, I'm going to show you some pictures here of the control board before and after. If I have some video footage, I'll show that here. And let's take a look at the control board situation. I've replaced the fuel pump multiple times. The first time, the fuel pump was actually bad. The second couple times, it didn't fix my problem. And what was happening was the generator was starting just great, running fine, and then once the unit got hot, it would just shut down. And I mean just shut down. Bam! And then I could restart it and kind of get another 15 minutes or so out of it. And actually it got progressively worse. It used to be a couple hours, then it was an hour, then it was like 15 minutes, and now recently it's been like 5 minutes. It'll run, get up to temperature, and then just shut down. So I kept suspecting something with the fuel system. And the reason was I could disconnect this fuel line here at the carburetor, and I could prime the unit, and there was a lot of air in the lines. Like it would just pump air. So I actually went and replaced the fuel line from front to back on this thing, all the way back, and that was not fun. And then I found that this small line from the fuel pump to the carburetor actually had some cracks in it. It was deteriorating, so I replaced that. Here's a tip. Before you replace your fuel line from the generator to the fuel tank, replace that first. At least inspect it, because that was way easier. So anyway, I replaced all the fuel line, and guess what? It still did it. So I even tinkered around with some of this stuff in here, linkages and stuff. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Maybe I went backwards on that one. At any rate, finally, I determined that by testing with a multimeter, I determined that I wasn't getting any power to the fuel pump when I tried to prime it and restart it. So I traced everything back to this. This is the control board that goes inside this guy on the QG5500, and I took it out. My suspicions were confirmed. Check this out. Yeah, we've got a little dark spot in there, and so definitely this thing was getting hot, and you can tell it cooked. So I actually, while the rig was at Camping World over the summer, and by the way, you can watch my Camping World videos to see how my visit went for a very large repair. Anyway, while it was there, I told them that I suspected that the generator needed a control board. I said, listen, this is what it's doing. It's very strange. The only thing I haven't replaced is the control board. Well, guess what? The generator, of course, it was winter, so Jenny stayed cool, and it ran just fine the whole time it was there. But beyond that, this control board from Onan was very expensive, and it was on back order for the next 5 months, at least. So I went online, as anybody does, because now I'm at my wit's end. We're on the road, and actually today we're getting ready to drive from Virginia to Chicago, so we need this thing to run because we're not going to stop at RV parks. We're boondocking while we're on the road. So Tosh and I got on eBay, and we found this unit from flightsystems.com, and it's very cool. It's very nice, and it's an aftermarket unit. Now, the cool thing about this Flight Systems control board is that the heatsink is larger, and I'm going to show you that here in this video. You can see compared to the factory control board how much larger the heatsink is, and obviously heat is a problem with these because that's what killed my last one. But beyond that, Flight Systems was very good. Actually, okay, so that would be that's a control board. You can see there that it's burnt, and actually Onan had no factory control boards available. They were very expensive, so I got one from Flight Systems. The cool thing about Flight Systems is they put a bigger heatsink on the control board, so it dissipates heat better, and also it doesn't shut off for every single little code. It only shuts off for oil level and I believe overloading the system. So those are the two main things that you would want the generator to shut off for. The downside of the Flight Systems board is it does not show you codes anymore. So it won't flash the 3 lights and then the next, you push a button and it gives you a code. It doesn't do that. Now, in my case, the only code I was getting was code 36, which just says, hey, the thing shut off for no reason. We don't understand. So it wasn't helpful anyway. At any rate, while we were stopped in Wyoming, I decided I have done everything to this. I've replaced the fuel line from the front to back. By the way, I want to show you something here on my Thor Outlaw. The fuel line comes through the wheel opening here, and it's, of course, it's a little dark now, so it's going to be hard to see, but actually these brackets that the fuel line goes through, you can see now I've run the fuel line on the outside of the bracket, because when it was underneath with all those hydraulic lines and wires, the fuel line was pinched. So I took that out of the equation, moved it to the outside of the bracket, and zip tied it for now, just to see if it helped. And it didn't. So even after putting the fuel line in, I still had issues. Now, the reason you have to replace the fuel line and take that out of the equation a lot of times is because these fuel lines are multiple layers. You've got an inner membrane and then the outer shell, if you will, the rubber hose, and that membrane on the inside gets corroded, not corroded, it gets degraded over time, gets old, and it'll actually collapse when it's under pressure sometimes. So when you have that suction from the fuel pump, from the fuel tank, the fuel line will collapse inwardly. So even though the outside looks okay, inside it's pinching. So like I said, replaced all that line, came up here, replaced this pump, and then we got to Wyoming and I said, this is it, I have to think outside the box. So I went to Napa. There happened to be a Napa right across the street from the rest area that we were stopped, and I bought a aftermarket fuel pump. This is a PosiFlow, obviously. It's a 12 volt, it's a 1.5 to 4 PSI pump, which is about what the factory pump runs from Onan. So I said, enough with the Onan pump, enough with the Chinese pump. I actually installed that aftermarket pump in place of the Chinese pump here. And what I found was it was doing the exact same thing with the aftermarket pump in place. It would run great. This pump sounded a lot stronger than the Onan or the China one, you know, that I have in there. It sounded stronger. So I thought, that's it, this is great. But then it shut off when it got hot. I took the fuel line off of the carburetor. So this is what you'll want to do when you shut down. Take this fuel line off right here and prime it. And when you prime this, you should have fuel spraying out of this line. Okay, don't hold it at your face. Hold it away from you or towards the ground, but you should have some fuel spitting out of there. If this thing is very hot and you're not getting any fuel out of it, one of three things is happening. You're not getting any fuel because the fuel line is pinching, and it's, something is causing the fuel to not get up here. So either the fuel line's pinching, or you have an air leak, a hole somewhere in this fuel line that is causing an air to pull into the system, an air bubble, and not getting the fuel that you need. The other thing that can happen is the impeller on your fuel pump can actually spin on the shaft. So the fuel pump is spinning, but the propeller, the little impeller in there, is not spinning. So you're not pumping any fuel. The little shaft is just turning. And the third thing that can happen is that you can be getting what's called vapor lock. And vapor lock would be when the fuel boils to a point that you cannot, it becomes no longer a liquid, it's just a vapor. And at that point it pressurizes. And when the vapor pressurizes, it pushes the fuel out of the float bowl of the carburetor, and it pushes backwards. So the vapor actually pushes the fuel back towards the tank, and you just end up with a bunch of gas in the line, like vapor gas, not liquid fuel gas. And what that means is the engine can't burn, obviously. So if a generator is shutting off and you go to prime it, and you have to prime it for a very, very long time to get it to start to fire, and then it doesn't want to keep running, chances are you have vapor in the lines because it's pushed that fuel back. So here's what I did. First thing I did was I took that aftermarket fuel pump, I went back on the frame. So I came back here, there's the generator, there's the back tire for reference, and I came out here and put the, you can see my wiring running back, and I put the fuel pump back here on the frame. So if I can get under here a little bit better. There you go. So I have a secondary fuel pump in line. I ran those wires up, twisted them, obviously, to make them kind of nice. And I ran them up here and I just spliced them right into this. So now when I prime, you have a pump up here running. Obviously, this pump is running, but also the one in back. So you kind of have a push-pull system. This pump is pulling and pushing towards the Onan pump, that's then forcing out the carburetor. I thought that might completely take care of my issues, but it didn't. And what I found after that was that I was getting vapor lock. I knew it from that point. There was no air in the lines were not pinching. I had another pump in the middle, pushing towards the generator, and then this one pulling was still getting vapor lock. So it wasn't a lack of fuel, the fuel was just boiling. So I got my temperature gun out, my infrared temperature gun, and I did some research. So what I found was at the hottest point of this generator in here, when it was 105 degrees out, this area over here where the exhaust is, and down here where the exhaust is, was over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. This area here was about 115. This, going into the carburetor where the fuel line is, was at 175 degrees. Down at the fuel pump, down at the bottom, it was about 150 degrees. So I actually used some frozen strawberries. I'll show you some of this footage. I packed frozen strawberries in a bag, wrapped them around the fuel pump, and I tried to see if the fuel pump was overheating, and it didn't change anything. So then I stopped at Napa and I bought this fuel line cover, this heat shield. And the brand that I bought, I guess it wasn't Napa that I got this, it was O'Reilly's. It's DEI, Design Engineering Incorporated. And I just ran it from here to here to see if it would do anything. I didn't put any underneath yet. I just put it here. And lo and behold, guys, I'm telling you, this thing has run in over 100-degree temperatures consistently with no vapor lock. It's crazy. I did drill a hole in the front cover even and tried something wild. I ran the fuel line out here, straight in the hole and into the carburetor. So it was exposed to the engine heat as little as possible. But this actually worked better, and it's much easier to take the cover on and off. So there you have it. This is a brief summary of the things you'll want to try to get your Onan QG5500 running properly. It's a pain in the butt, and this is stuff that probably Onan should have done from the factory, but they didn't. Put an aftermarket pump in the center of the line. Replace your fuel line. If your coach is older, mine's a 2014, go ahead and replace the fuel line. But most importantly, put this heat shield over the fuel line inside the generator cover, and you will eliminate vapor lock. If that doesn't work, go ahead and take the remaining, which is what I'm going to do. Put it from the fuel pump back as far as you can around the back of the generator, especially around the exhaust area. Hopefully this helps you guys out. If you have other ideas or suggestions on how to keep your QG5500 running when it's hot outside, please post those in the comments. Be sure to subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and like this video, helps us out a lot. I appreciate everybody for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.